Brothers, Goldman Sachs, false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, man to run, Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind. Prison system, puppeteers, foundations, fund the beers, fund the evil through the years, the world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money they created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guide, soldiers written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Streaming live on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. Just running through the door here, literally ran in from work just to get things going here. I'm a little out of breath because literally made it right under the wire. Alright, let me just catch my breath. Anyway, it's good to be back. I'm really getting into the rhythm of this. It's just I realize that if I don't leave at a certain time, I might be a moment or two late, but that would just be because I am, I have a long journey home. And anyhow, it's good to be back. As I said, I've got a lot of news for us today that I've been compiling. A lot of information, a lot of crazy things going on, like the woman that claimed that she had some sort of a bomb sewed into her body, all this like mind-controlling type of propaganda mixed with a lunatic psychopath type person. So you have to look at the sociology of this whole thing, and then like, well, she just is it random? Is it a coincidence? Well, more often than not, it's not a coincidence. More often than not, it is. But again, at this point, we can only really speculate. And again, that's why it's Truth Talk News. And this is Howard Nema. And We Are Change. Connecticut is the show. And we have a long broadcast on Saturdays between 5 and 8 p.m. And now we have this abbreviated 1-hour show Monday through Thursday that I'm hosting here to go over news and other events. We're on the weekend show, which is again also of course broadcast on truthbroadcastnetwork.com and death-to-the-new-world-order.com audio, d2nwo.com. These shows are all it's all the same organization. It's all basically the same show, just expanded, where we have the guests and the longer segments on Saturday's show from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll go over the things that I always seem to miss. I mean, it really became I'm so happy to Harry Link, and thank you, Harry, for giving me the opportunity to do this, because I really don't have enough time when we have these shows with guests and things like that, and it really is a good way for me to continue to get out the information that I seem to always be backlogged with. And then the weeks go by and everybody knows things already. Certain things happen. And there's a lot of other things that are going on that nobody knows about and nobody talks about, and that's why we're really here tonight. And the U.S. Army claims to be more selective on their recruits now because they have to dwindle down the forces, And this is an AP segment
AP article, where internal Army documents show that in sharp contrast to the peak years of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, the service last year took no recruits with misconduct, convictions, or drug or alcohol issues. So when we were going out there and killing them, you know, and getting these insane things like that WikiLeaks, for example, uncovered, when that was all happening, yeah, exactly. They wanted the convicts, really, and they put them into war. People that have had convictions and all that were acceptable and put into these combat situations. It's on record. It's indisputable. Okay? Now, a soldier who is already serving on active duty now must meet tougher standards to stay on for another tour. So they're changing the criteria to weed out the people that they brought in. Very interesting, right? So, and they killed them. Many of them, of course, are part of these casualties. These going on almost 6,000 casualties, over 6,000 casualties. Again, the war is over. Remember, there is no war. We've never been at war with Iraq. We've never been at war with Afghanistan. We've always been at war with Afghanistan. We've always been at war with Iraq. It's getting to be this Orwellian thing because, you know, it goes back to Bush saying mission accomplished. I mean, it's all propaganda to keep the war machine going, and really sort of to appease the people. Very dangerous. So, again, this is all more propaganda because now the greatest scrutiny and the bonus cutbacks and key elements of this effort to slash the size of the active duty Army from its peak of 570,000 during the height of the war in Iraq to 490,000 by 2017. So they're claiming that all of this mishmash in here is for about 120,000 troops or so, right? Differential. So that's how they're going to get rid of them? Or what is this really saying? I mean, it's just, I don't even know how to address this. So it's okay for you to have people that are, I mean, felons and maybe convicted people? Misconduct convictions? Or, well, no felons, but misconduct convictions? Drug or alcohol issues? That's fine when you want to kill. And now just get them back out there after you've mind controlled them and given them post-traumatic stress syndrome from all the battles that they've endured and the, you know, blowing up people's homes, you know, hearing the children running and scream and hide under their beds, which is again all on record, but they don't want you to know this. You know, tyranny is done against people and hidden as much as it can be hidden. If we allow, again, the soldiers came out about this. You can Google this. It's soldiers against the Iraq War and all this. I mean, this is nothing new. It's a war machine. I go back to Smedley Butler. I don't know, like why all week I've been talking about Smedley Butler. But it is. War is a racket. And the racket keeps continuing, and they say the war is over, but meanwhile we need more troops because they blow a few things up, or there's some insurgents that get funded by the CIA to, you know, create some sort of chaos and give an excuse for more military occurrences, and over and over and over and over again. So this is all just from one article. Now, speaking of this propaganda, there's a new bill. This is from the American Dream. There's a new bill that would make it legal to target propaganda and psychological operations directly at U.S. citizens. So we already know this. Everybody's under the mind control. That's the whole point. But now they're actually saying, you know something? It's legal to do it. Let's legally mind control you. That's amazing. Oh, great. Oh, let me say. Yes, we must try to get them to agree to sign away the rights and to make it legal for us to mind control them and put chips in their bodies so that we can tell them what they'll be paid and they'll earn their merits or they will be terminated. I mean that's like sort of extreme, but it's really not. This is how these people are, what they're trying to do, and what they're planning. I talked about this all week. I know, I watch the rebroadcast, and sometimes I know it's like, wow. I listen to myself and I say, oh my God, I can't even believe how incredibly insane this situation is with what's happening, because it is impacting, and I actually feel what I'm giving out, and it's very interesting. It's just like playing music. I liken it to that. I'm giving out this energy, this information that I've uncovered that everybody needs to know, and everybody can uncover for themselves. And that's the whole thing. This whole show, all these shows, all of everyone's efforts, Harry's, Pam Suggs at UnitedTruthSeekers.com, Jim Russell at We Are Change Connecticut, WeAreChangeCT.org, my co-host on We Are Change Connecticut on Saturday, Vinny, Bdatruth. We have dedicated ourselves to getting this information out to people so that they open their minds to say, listen, wait a minute, is that why things aren't good? Is that why we have these issues with why people can't get jobs and everything goes up, but people don't drive, but the gas prices go up, and all these, they start putting the pieces together, and we try to help make that puzzle possible. Anyhow, so that said, I'm just trying to continue with this information that if they can legalize mind control, I mean, come on, think about it. Psychological operations is mind control, okay? It's already done with many techniques. I mean, basic sales techniques involve psychological, manipulations. But to actually mind control somebody through the media like they do, with commercials and other things, and this has been shown with subliminal seduction, where they would show an image or something, and it gives a certain response to the viewer, because it's an image amongst 24 images in a second, or 29.97 if it was a video. They put one image, and then that image actually stays in your mind and puts a subliminal message that you read and keep. Now, this is still being done, and that's why a lot of people react certain ways to various things. Now, this has been proven, and they said, "Oh, it's illegal," and there's so many things that are done. The other day, I was watching on even on the History Channel about the CIA with the theremin. The theremin device that people makes that like creepy sound in the 50s movies, and Jimmy Page used it in A Whole Lot of Love, and woo, it makes that weird sound. Well, this guy Theremin was a German scientist, basically, and discovered that this was a musical instrument, and he made it a musical instrument, and that was what he was after. But the CIA was really interesting, and actually in that case, it was from Germany, and the British intelligence working with Germany. Now, again, you have to understand, there's this tremendous relationship between Germany and Britain that is also there from bloodline, and you have to see that things are very, very different than they really appear when it comes to the connections between the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family, which is a German family, and what we know today as the Windsor family, the Queen of England and her husband, Prince Philip, the Nazi. Okay, they have ties to the Nazi Party. They have ties to Germany, long-standing ties, and the Nazi element has actually continue to manifest itself within the CIA and other higher echelons of our government through Operation Paperclip and Operation Artichoke and other things that with these scientists that they took, and using biochemical weapons and all sorts of crazy, really sick things. They obviously had these people by the balls, for lack of a better word, excuse me, and they took them in and said, "Listen, you work for us, or you're going to basically die." And many of them came willingly, but of course, that was pretty much the predicament they were in. If you had, they wanted to use, they were especially interested in these scientific aspects. Now, look, with this whole thing with genetics, this whole new thing with these incredible money that's being funded. I have news about this. I'll go over it. There's a lot going on right now, and it's very scary because it is, as I said this whole week, it is a scientific dictatorship. Okay, so it's scientific is the word. Medicine, drugs, mind control, chemistry, all of these. That aspect of it is, you know, is a big part of it, and the futurism of it, and having people dependent on these things. It's very insidious, slow, and steady. The incremental movement of it in the last 60 years. It's just as though when you look at a graph, for example, 1973 is probably the pivotal point. When the war on drugs, Nixon's war on drugs, the opening the doors to China, and all these other things going on, blah, 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 oh my God, on and on. A very big year, 1973. Trilateral Commission was basically established. Papers and such were in 72, but really 73 is when it started. And you had this slow, up to then, the United Nations wasn't really moving quick enough to the world government. So by the 60s, they decided that they needed to address these issues and to get things more on a global scale. So they created certain agendas, such as the environmental movement and the backing of this whole idea of Earth Day and all of that, which moved along in the early 70s. Creating this whole idea about that, we have to be better for, like you remember the Indian crying and people being pigs, throwing things out their windows, which unfortunately they still do. On my lawn, I pick up garbage. Now, why would anybody do this? Now, I live in a middle class neighborhood. I mean, a nice with kids in the street and people. How could you throw garbage on somebody's lawn? Think about it. Would you ever want that done to you? What's lost in today's society is that whole sort of, for lack of a better word, moral code of do unto thyself thy neighbor as done unto thyself. So you want to think that people would have the same courtesy, but because of this whole disorder of so many ways of breaking up families and breaking up values and breaking up. The family breakup is probably the biggest component that is causing people to do this. I mean, you have always had people that are pigs. You can't really stop that. But since the 1970s, 1973, when they started really working on 1972, for example, Limits to Growth was published by the Club of Rome. 1968, the Club of Rome was established for depopulation purposes. Limits to Growth was also about the ecological points. It was sort of the parts. It was sort of the genesis of this whole Agenda 21 that we're under here with the global warming and everyone being green, and it was the Earth Day was all part of it. It was all encompassing in all of this, and they really they were actually blunt about the fact that they need to work on the population, that that they have to deindustrialize the United States. So these things that I'm saying are not my opinion. Everybody has to understand that. I don't speak opinions unless I'm telling you it's my opinion. I'm telling you facts. I'm giving you statements. I've listened to many of these broadcasts, and most of them are exactly that. They're statements. They're statements of truth. And that's what we're here to seek, is truth. So when you look into truth, you find your own truth. And how you find your truth is by listening to what I tell you, a statement, and then taking that statement to your heart and to yourself and say, whatever you want to think about it or feel about it is like, I know that if somebody were to make a statement or an accusation, if you want to call it for lack of a better word, because that's what you would have to look, the only other word to use, right? Okay, I'm accusing these evildoers, as Bush called them, the evildoers, you know, who he is among, the evilest of the evildoers, Skull and Bones. We went over that the other day. You know, again, this is really beyond the average person's understanding. It's not political. It has absolutely nothing to do with politics as far as parties. I mean, it's about control. It's about power and manipulation. Democrats, Republicans, controlled by the same influences, the same people. These oligarchs, the bankers who own these big banks, the Federal Reserve owners, the private shareholders of the IRS. These are the people. So Michael Snyder wrote this great article called "The New Bill would make it legal to target propaganda and psychological operations directly at U.S. citizens." And if you go into the details of it, and I don't want to be boring because 20 minutes in and I'm only in, I got a whole bunch of stuff here. But the bill that was included to the Defense Authorization Act as Amendment 114 passed out of the House on Friday, May 18th, 2012. And it would amend the two existing acts, which was the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 and the Foreign Relations Authorization Act of 1987. So it's amending these two other acts, which were put in place largely, basically because they made it illegal for propaganda to influence public opinion overseas to be targeted at U.S. Citizens back here at home. So what they're trying to say is that they're trying to make it legal to say that you can go into a foreign country and bash the shit out of America, and it's okay. America is slowly being deindustrialized, as I mentioned. Remember we were talking about 1973? I don't want to get off the track of that because it is an important year. And moving forward from there, you had the energy crisis, of course. You had Watergate, which was really interesting because the people that live at Watergate are involved in some stuff. I have a part of, I was going to go over it with Eustace Mullins' work. An excerpt that goes over something about Watergate as well from his work, The World Order, which was actually published in 1985, so it's a little backdated. But these corporation names have slightly changed, and some of them a little more than slightly, but the owners of these corporations and the same influences and control factors are exactly the same. So, again, deeply digging into this information, everybody, you have to listen to what I say and take to heart the truth, is that the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, they work in concert to bring about a world government through the United Nations and other organizations. It's not just them. The Institute for Oil, they're all working in concert. So, but the UN is sort of like the pinnacle of it, the top of it, and working into that model. And that's why they're going around and trying, and Obama getting him to sign on and take away our sovereignty and our truth. The truth of that is that we have a situation where we're going to abide by whatever the United Nations declares. Dead mosquito. 2 of them. Sorry. Anyway, So absolutely, our rights are being, our Constitution has basically been shredded. I could talk about that for the whole show. But recently he is, we're talking about the sovereignty of the United States signing on to anything that the United Nations declares. Now, Panetta's went on record saying that he's going to go by NATO's orders on the G8 meeting. They're planning, out in the open that, it's all peace and love and all this. But the Bilderberg meeting, which is again on the 31st, that weekend, the weekend coming up here, with the Memorial Day holiday, interestingly enough, very early for So we have the Bilderberg meeting coming up, but meanwhile the basically NATO and the G8 have met this weekend that passed and have decided upon things in working together for peace and all of this other garbage that they're lying about. That will be determined on how they will continue to fleece the people through the control of the oil and the pricings of the oil, taking away more and more of our jobs, working in concert. Actually, basically, it's against the Logan Act, but all of these generals, all of these people in our government are attending Bilderberg every year, and it's treason. There's so much treason. I mean, everything. Obama commits treason almost on a regular basis. And what am I saying? I mean, I'm speaking the truth. Take with it from what you will, but look into what he's done. Read the Constitution, and then read these laws that are trying to usurp it. Then think of people like Hitler, okay, who did the same fucking thing. You can't put laws on the books like the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, 1031, 1032, recent. You can't do the Cybersecurity Act. You can't do these. They did them. This is against the Fourth Amendment. All these amendments. Fourth Amendment mostly here. But you're talking about the Sixth Amendment, all these other amendments. The Bill of Rights, they're just shredding it. They want to make it illegal for you to talk. You can't speak in front of 50 feet away from a political person and heckle them or whatever you want to say. I mean, this isn't Nazi Germany, or is it? I mean, is it really? Think about it. With a slick cover, with a slick Hollywood Madison Avenue shine. I mean, that's really what it is. I think you go to, you're born, you're raised, you hopefully have a good upbringing, you hopefully have good parents, hopefully have a good education, you hopefully can go to school. As far as now these days, I mean, college is a fraud for 9 out of 10 vocations. You have, well, not that bad, but most of the people that go to college, they get degrees in uselessness. You unfortunately have this dumbed-down society. Now you hope your child can be raised and learns and cuts through this matrix, and that's a really good word for it. And you hope that they have goodness and liberty in their heart, and they have no prejudice towards anyone else, and they realize that these are tools that are used to divide the people. So ultimately, they're too busy, fighting with each other than to pay attention to how they're being really hurt. I don't know how else to put it, but that's exactly what it is. I mean, if you're fighting because this religious group hates that one, and this racial group hates that racial group, and so on and so forth, multiplied by all these different aspects of different cultures and religions and so, people are too busy fighting amongst themselves to pay attention to what's happening to them. And that's really sad. And it's really sad. I think that we have a situation where people are somehow brought up to believe certain things, including myself, and get certain viewpoints. And then there's what you realize about those viewpoints that might have been mistaken or might not have been your own. I think that we're influenced too much by what we're shown and told, as opposed to what we find out on our own. Like, anyone listening is either going to say, well, this guy's absolutely nuts and doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just ranting on and on about these deep things. But these deep things are important, and you really should look about how you play a role in the world, as opposed to how everything is dependent upon yourself and your personal gain, or whatever you want to call it. Your ambition, whatever it is. Having had many goals, and still do, of course, and many things that I aspire to and did in my life up to now, and in my life, it really has nothing to do with getting this type of information about how we're being manipulated and controlled, so that all of our dreams they're creating these fantasies, these images of like these beautiful homes you watch on television. Oh yeah, everyone's going to buy this $2 million house that everyone watches on House Hunters, and all this other junk, and all these very wealthy people with their shows and TV shows and reality garbage. It's all a fantasy. That's not going to be attained by the masses at all. Yet everybody embraces that and believes that's the American dream. Well, that's how we're being manipulated and stolen from, because while we're doing this and aspiring for that, everything is harder to do. Prices of eggs go up, price of gas goes up, price of everything goes up. But your income stays flat and goes down even. We have been deindustrialized. The fire and energy and power of our industrial might has been basically castrated. So we're no longer really a presence, except militarily. We are. That's the when you add it up, the military, industrial complex, big part of our economy by design. Because if you tamper with it, look what's going to happen. Well, I don't believe that, because there's other things that are more important that have been ignored. Again, like this here in Connecticut, they're doing this dumb thing, $600 million for a bus route from New Britain to Hartford, which is like, for those that live in like New York, where I used to come from, that's like driving from like Bayside to like Great Neck. They're going to put this big bus route that costs $600 million. I mean, it's a small stretch, 13 miles or something. It's absolutely ludicrous. But they won't fix the roads, fix the electrical infrastructure, which people have been complaining about. We have some terrible storms here in the state of Connecticut in the United States. And these trees knocked down the power lines, caused lots of problems. There was a big storm this last season. It was really bad in October. It knocked out, our power was out for 5 days. I have a generator, but I mean, it's a big problem. And they're talking about now that kind of money, Governor Malloy, by the way, could have been used to bring this infrastructure and electrical infrastructure and upgrade it, which it needs. The whole country needs an electrical upgrade, and have it put underground. And they don't even want to assess that. They say it's too costly. It's not cost effective. No, it's the right thing to do. Not some 13-mile road for 600 miles. So if it costs a little more, $600 million for a road that's 13 miles just for a bus route, what the hell is that? All right, that's my rant on Connecticut. I really try not to keep it too local. I do believe my mayor here in Torrington has been doing a really good job, and I have to thank him. I understand these are very tough times, but Ryan Bingham, giving a shout out to you. You're doing a real good job here in Torrington, Connecticut, and you have my support, as you did the last couple of elections. Just keep it up, just keep things going right. A lot of tough decisions have to be made, but the idea is they have to be made, and you have to everybody sharing in the problems. A lot of people have been taking from the system and just expect to keep taking. Nobody wants to give anything back. It's almost human nature, but this economy is not going to rebound on a municipal level, on a state level, on a federal level, unless everyone wakes up and realizes that, like I said, a libertarian candidate for president, he lost in the primary, Wright, had said, if I was elected president, I would, fire basically a whole bunch of bureaucrats, and each one I fired would create jobs, 150 jobs. So he'd fire a lot of people, and that's how he would stimulate the economy. And it's true. Our government is bloated by design. They want to bankrupt us. They want to bring us into this huge debt that they hold. I'm not going to pull it out, but I have the debt records. The top 12 debt holders of United States debt. Guess who's number one? Ben the Bankster Bernanke's firm known as the Federal Reserve Bank and all its subsidiaries. Yes, that's right. Biggest holder by far. So they're holding our debt. In other words, they own our debt. That's what I mean by that. They own our debt. So China is up there too. But believe it or not, with all the propaganda, when it's cut and pasted together in the truth, it's something like out of these trillions of dollars, something like 70% of it is owned by the Fed. The debt is held. So this criminal cartel has bankrupted our nation by design, while they said they were going to protect us. And for 100 years, the fools have believed this. And it's just absolutely unbelievable that they could get away with it. But it's indisputable evidence in history. 100 years from now, if civilization exists, the scholars will look back, people such as myself that seek truth and knowledge, and there'll always be people that do this. And there'll always be people that share it, and there'll always be people that try to make people understand how important it is for them to look outside of this world. And it's not about politics. Like I said, it's about humanity. It is about our existence, and it is about the fact that history there has been more periods of enslavement in human history than freedom, by far. And that is an absolutely factual, true statement. So, wake up from the mind control that they want to legalize, this psychological type propaganda, and understand that they're planning to attack us also at home with psychological warfare on top of what they've been doing for the last 50, 60 years, actually. All right, so I've beaten this thing to death. We're moving along here. It's it's Howard Nema. We are Change Connecticut, Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. You can also listen to us on Saturday from 5 to 8 here on truthbroadcast.com and deathtotheworldorder.com audio stream, along with ProjectFreedom.ws audio stream. And I'll be broadcasting now Monday through Thursday from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as long as I'm not late from work. But I'll get into the routine. I'm still sort of getting the bugs out. I don't have an intro here yet for the show. I'm going to talk to Harry about this over the weekend and over time, and I'm going to program some way to have that worked out. I have to talk to him about something I can do. I know there's some way I can program this thing with live stream to do that for me. I could probably do something like that and jump in. I'll work it out. But at this point, I'm just going to go live. This week at least, I'll just come on live exactly 9 o'clock or as close as I can. Again, I want to thank Harry, and I want to thank Pam Suggs, who was calling in before, and she seems to be off right now, off the Skype. I missed that. Haven't had any phone call setups yet. I'll go over that next week. We're just still getting the bugs out with this whole thing. But the slot is full. In fact, I'll be getting a list of who all the shows are, and I'll start mentioning them as we move along here each day between 9 and 10 p.m. And Harry Link will be on from 10 to 11 with Death to the New World Order coming up next in about 20 minutes. Other than that, I have a lot of news here, and I think, if I really just keep my mouth shut and move forward, I could probably hit most of it. Of course, we have the situation with Chicago. I mentioned it the other day, that CBS News even reported this, that police were using batons indiscriminately during the NATO summit. They were just banging people up. This is on the internet, shots everywhere of this. It's all documented. So we do have this rising police state. When these bureaucrats, these elitist scum, come here, they must be protected. Okay, when are the people that are screaming, like this woman here screaming at the camera here, screaming at the people who all they want is to let everybody know that these criminals are responsible for this whole thing. The elitists that are paying these people. Most of these politicians are bought and paid for puppets, for regimes, countries, corporations, a myriad of control factors. And this is, again, documented stuff. I'm not some crazy nut. That's why COINTELPRO attacks me. That's why I am working closely with people in the intelligence community that I know are good people, that are former intelligence, both CIA and FBI, to decipher COINTELPRO information, to expose it. It's part of my quest now. I was attacked by Anthony Hilder and his bunch, Timothy Patrick White. This has been ongoing. And others. I don't want to stir the pot. There's quite a bit going on. Attacks on the air, knocking down our streams, destroying camera equipment remotely, just by frying hard drives, camera systems. Really some wicked stuff has happened. But we move forward, and I don't want to dwell on it, but this is true, okay? We have a rising police state that is going to be out of control, because as these little... this is just a meeting of people now. I mean, the shit hasn't hit the fan yet. What's going to happen when as we move closer to the edge of the cliff? Here's the cliff, okay? We're moving, okay, and here's we're moving. Yeah, we're coming down to the cliff, all right? What happens when we go down the cliff? Some people will be prepared. They'll have the proper things. They'll either have a way to make clean water, or they'll have clean water stored. They'll have storable foods. They'll have gardens. They'll have the things that they need, but they'll have to have weapons to protect their property. And we'll be Americans, okay? Really, like red-blooded Americans that just realize that people take from you if you let them, and if they come on your property, you have every right to shoot them dead. And they're going to be coming. And it's sad, because you want to be beneficial, but these people that are these sheeple, when this occurs, the first real financial collapsing time where people are like, over time, this is not getting better, okay? I look at the numbers constantly. I don't even want to go into them because, again, I don't want to fearmonger, because that's absolutely not what I'm trying to say. It's just a factual truth that our banking system is collapsing. Donald Trump went on record saying it. We're going to have this big problem. There's all Jim Cramer, that criminal from Goldman Sachs, another one of those Goldman Sachs boys, but even he's pumping the predictions that the bank run is in Spain and Italy is going to bring anarchy throughout Europe. I mean, it's going to happen. We've predicted this years ago. People that are in the know, that have been watching the trends, and maybe 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago, it seemed a little far-fetched. But it's just, but it's getting to that point now where, these banks in Europe are going to crash, and then we're right behind them. It's a domino game, ladies and gentlemen. Once they start falling, they're all going to fall. and there's going to be anarchy, absolute wild madness and chaos. And out of this chaos will come the order. That is their plan. And they're trying to do it. And they're promulgating it, too. They'll pay people to stir trouble up, and they'll get people to try to go wild and create riots. And then the police state again will attack, like they're doing here. They're promulgating it. So, they're instigating it. Now, of course, we know the United States and China have this relationship because of the debt, and the private Federal Reserve controls the American money supply. And we know that because of this depreciation, the Chinese are really worried because the amount that they have in reserves for the Chinese central bank exceeds $3 trillion. So, to put this in perspective, the next size in China is Japan, which manages foreign exchange reserves in excess of $1 trillion. So it's 3 to 1. The size of Chinese reserves is disclosed, but the composition of the reserves is less transparent. So the People's Bank of China holds more financial assets than any other single public institution in the world. So they're actually even bigger than the Federal Reserve itself. However, the state administration manages these exchanges, and now they're upset because they're losing money because our dollar is depreciating. Okay, let's keep our eyes on China and this depreciation factor with the dollar and the fact that they have invested so much. I think that what in the bills, the T-bills. So I think what's going to happen, unfortunately, when there are defaults, China is going to move in because they already own so much of our property. The defaults will result in foreclosures where they'll actually get our land and property. And they'll buy up, and these globalists, which they've done in the Depression and all the Depressions before, 1837, going on and on, there's so many of them, 1920, many of them. It wasn't even a Depression, it was just a bank grab for, they call it a run on the banks, but the bankers took everything. Really, really bad stuff. Over and over and over again. Hegelian dialectic. They create the problem, people react to it in chaos, and then they offer the solution, and look like the heroes. All right. So as I mentioned, Jim Cramer is predicting that there's going to be these bank runs. I think Jim Cramer is a paid shill. Again, he's a Goldman Sachs boy. But he's giving, even people that give disinformation and people that, like he hooks a lot of people to buy stocks, and then the stocks tank, and then, people know what to do. They have puts on it. I mean, there's so much going on there. A lot of people have lost money investing on Jim Cramer's philosophies, and believe me, they're probably just too embarrassed to admit it. So anyway, with all this stuff going on in Europe, and during this G8 summit, Obama urged the European leaders to pursue a pro-growth path. And of course, a pro-growth path means spending trillions of dollars that you don't have. So more debt is coming, more slavery, over and over again. These bloated governments, impossible to pay off this debt. So they've got this thing over with. Mitt Romney is hitting these ads now. Obamney, I call him. They're going to hit each other up. Obama's people are going to say that Obamney is, a tyrant, and he put people out of work and all this other shit. And they're going to be shoveling shit back and forth at each other. And it's just unbelievable. Meanwhile, Obama, with Solyndra, took our money and gave him $500 million, and then basically they went bankrupt. You've got some serious issues here. Oh, goodness. I just realized that. I'm saying to myself, why are all these mosquitoes coming in? It's because the spider, the net there was open. That's nice. So I got a whole bunch of bugs flying in here. Anyway, that's what happens when you want to keep the room cool. But anyway, nice night here in Torrington, Connecticut. It's pretty cool. We had some rain. Garden's growing nicely. Hope we'll have a good harvest this season. It should be nice. Got some nice vegetables growing, just to get on the normal things. It's not all about truth. I mean, I grow everything that we eat as far as vegetables, the types of vegetables that we eat, onions, broccoli, salads, different types of greens, zucchini. Very easy in a box garden. It's not a bad thing. Everybody should do it if you have the land. But remember, the government has made it illegal if there is a time of emergency, God forbid, so that it would be against any and all principles for you to hand those vegetables to your neighbor. It would be actually against the law. So this out of control government really gets under my skin, because all I want to do is just protect myself and my family from the discord and disorder that they are creating. So if that makes me a bad guy, if that makes me a terrorist, if that makes me everything else, thank you to the all those listening and in CIA and FBI land. Then I guess I'm guilty, and come take me away as per. You can just do it because you want to. I guess because you don't like the way I speak. This is just like these South American countries come to mind. These totalitarian regimes in Africa come to mind. And, that's where we're going, into these banana republics where, people just get pulled away, they're having dinner with their family. Next thing you know, somebody comes and, puts a hood over your head and pulls you away. And, this is America with a K. And I pray that we can come to some understanding in this country that this is happening. And that what I'm doing is a call to action and a call to reaction. We have to understand what's happening around us and these lies. We have all of these people, that don't even know what they're doing, and they're signing laws. This woman was like, I can't believe, a congresswoman, I forget her name, I can't believe that they groped me and did this stuff and all this stuff, and that they searched. Oh no, it wasn't that. It wasn't from the TSA. I can't believe that they searched my office and bugged my office and checked my emails and did all this stuff. I can't believe it. Well, it's legal. Well, I can't. That's terrible. I can't believe it. Well, you signed the law. The goddamn woman signed the freaking law. Doesn't even know that she signed the freaking law. That they invaded her privacy. How's it feel? This is what we're fighting. This is what it's all about. And we have no choice but to focus on the fact that these criminals are going to continue clamping down on society to the point where nobody's going to be able to do anything. And once they have all their guns in place, so to speak, you can't talk back. And unfortunately, I think that's the point when if that happens, that's the critical mass. There will be a critical mass if we go anywhere near that direction, because there's enough people that are fully awake to really realize the point where there's no turning back. And it will not be us. We're not, remember that. God forbid if anything occurs and they're going to say that it's these liberty people, these patriots or whatever, you bet your bottom dollar that that the government is behind that promulgation to have the excuse, the false flag excuse for martial law. That was warned by Bill Cooper and others of naval intelligence backgrounds and such. And there is a lot there's a lot of danger here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not fear-mongering, but the reason I do this is because I love my son. And I hope that he has a son, and that his children have children, and that their children have children, and that they're free. And they don't have to worry about the TSA groping them at the airports. They don't have to worry about the government looking at their emails, surveilling their house, listening in on their house, listening to me right now, recording my conversations as per order of the FBI. Every single broadcast I've ever done since November of 2011, and every broadcast anyone else has ever done on internet radio. It's on record. This is all factual. That's why it's Truth Talk News. And I'm Howard Nema. And we are Change Connecticut with Howard Nema and Vinny Bdatruth. Will be on Saturday again between 5 and 8 p.m. I just keep mentioning that because it's important. At this point, I'm not certain who's going to be our guest lined up, but I'll give enough notice. At least we have, it's only Wednesday. So tomorrow will be the last show this week on Truth Talk News. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. Hopefully you can get this information out to other people and understand that it is real, it's true. Find your own truth. Look into what's going on. Because we have a dumbed down, even the people that are in our government, okay, they're like compartmentalized fools. Imagine this woman doesn't realize she signed the law. Well, interestingly enough, speech by members of Congress drops a grade level due to conservatives and new members, according to a study. Now, there's a study, this is funny, the Sunlight Foundation, I don't even like the name of that, but I'll just take it to mind because it makes sense. That is that they're actually talking at nearly a full grade level below the level at which members spoke 7 years ago. So there's like a pie chart, not a pie chart, but a graph showing how the intelligence level, or I should say the speaking intelligence level of these people. Well, again, they want to shorten the vocabulary. Orwell covered all of this, you know. Aren't we doing that with like the texting? You know, OMG and, you know, LOL and all this junk? Come on, think about it. And, you know, it's a dumbing down of the society, part of it. Eventually people won't even have to speak at all. Plug a little thing in your head like Ray Kurzweil. All right, transhumanist. So that was really interesting that they did that. A couple other news bits. We got a few more minutes here. Let's see what I got here. Tomorrow I'm going to go over the Eustace Mullins. There's obviously not nearly time as usually. I get distracted, and we'll be going over this really good part from the World Order. It'll probably take a good 20 or 25 minutes to go over it. It's a tremendous section. It really describes how, I'm going to read it. It describes exactly how, who, and some of the names have changed as far as the corporation names, but the players are all the same. The owners are all the same, and it's going to be an excellent broadcast, so please tune in tomorrow night between 9 and 10 p.m. here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. And we also have this issue with that insane woman. I didn't really get into it too deeply. I'll get into that as well. And comments from people that had written some comments. I posted some of them. I printed some of the comments that people were talking about. One of the comments that somebody made, just really like, almost like it was like, this shows you how many sheeple are out there, or some sort of COINTELPRO agent that's trying to give disinformation or trying to like sway people, a propaganda. I should say a propagandist, not a COINTELPRO. It said, full body scanners need to be brought in as soon as possible till they invent something better. Okay, I mean that's the assessment of their full body scanners need to be put in place. Sounds like propaganda to me. So there's a lot of those things right there. I'll go over that tomorrow. And we have, oh yeah, the indefinite detention. I have an article that's written by Ron Paul. I'll be going over that tomorrow. Patriot Act, all this stuff. So much good stuff to tune into. Please tune in. I want to thank Harry Link at truthbroadcastnetwork.com for having me. Really happy to do this, and I'll get all the kinks out as I usually do when I start something new. And hopefully next week will be an even better and more exciting week. Certainly tomorrow will be great, so please tune in. Harry, take it away. Death to the New World Order with Harry Link here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com.